Do you remember the first, right from the start, when we went to school in Colonsey? We started school there. And a while after we had arrived, they had every morning prayer, the whole class, with the whole class, every morning prayer. And I thought that was a good.
You remember how, I remember how we all lined up outside.
Yeah.
We heard the piano play inside. And then we started marching in, 2 by 2.
Yeah.
Order.
Yeah.
Summer and winter, eh?
I think we sang "O Canada."
Mhm.
Dead now.
Yeah.
Second
Yeah.
promo. Well, who were the people that brought them together? The Reasons?
Cupid's name.
Cupid name, the Reasons.
Were they reasons?
The Reasons. They were artists many times. Am I right, guys? That the Mr. Reason and his wife were the ones that brought Mom and Dad together.
That's very possible. They know them as friends.
Yeah.
Matchmaker.
Oh, that's
Matchmaker.
interesting news to me.
Oh yeah,
wasn't-
no, I knew that from many years ago.
It wasn't the Wheelers.
No, the
Okay.
Reasons. The Reasons waren immer da. And Mother said, die haben uns zusammengebracht.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
See, and then they gave Mom, then they told Dad that this girl would suit him because she kept such a good house. The windows were clean, the chairs were dusted, and never out of order. And so that seemed to be good enough. But she was a new Christian, brand pretty new, because Mother only became Christian just 1 or 2 years before she got married.
Yeah.
And then he met her, and they were introduced, I should say, and 2 weeks later they were married.
Ooh.
That's scary. That's really scary.
Now, what would that wedding have been like? Would it have been as elaborate as
I wish I
Grandpa's initial wedding, or?
You any idea?
Which our wedding?
No, Mom and Dad's
Mom and
wedding.
Dad's.
You were there. You must have been there. Was
Yes.
How elaborate was the wedding?
Well, I think it was, we did as good as we could
In the shrine.
in the shrine, yeah, in the utility shed.
Yeah.
Okay.
The big haymow.
Yeah, we kind of cleaned it out and put branches in and made it festive looking.
Okay.
And that's where they had it.
And what time of the year?
Invited the choir,
1924.
24, but what time of the year?
summer, in July,
July? Right in the
It was in
midsummer?
summer.
July, yeah.
Okay.
In 27 he came over.
She came over 1925.
25, a year later.
A year later.
Yeah.
Hardly a year.
Yeah,
You were by her hand, was
yeah. And
Ben on the way?
No, Mary was
Mary
4
was
months.
on the way.
4 months.
She
She was
was
5
born-
months when she landed in Canada. She was 4 months when we started.
so she already had a baby before they came.
I
Oh, yeah.
didn't know that.
When she was sick with
Sure
malaria.
you
I thought you were the lucky one that was getting all the attention at that time.
Oh,
No.
no. He was 3. He was way too old.
Oh, yeah. 3 years old.
Died into something.
And then, of course, when Mary came to when they came to Canada, Mary's the one who died of cerebral malaria. Is that right?
Measles.
Mother
Measles.
always said Henman syndrome.
Malaria.
She said Henderson?
Who? Mother
That's what
said,
Mother said.
that
Mary
who?
died of Henman syndrome.
Mary?
Yeah.
No, I always thought it was
What do you
pneumonia.
call it?
Pneumonia?
Yeah.
You had Men's syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever that is.
Well, that's an aneurysm.
Yeah,
Or
but
it can also
No,
be the
that
type
was,
of malaria that gets
no.
into the
I
head.
think that's meningitis.
That was pneumonia. As far as I
Yeah,
know.
it's in the-
well,
it's in
see the
the-
more.
We were 2 of us had pneumonia. She didn't, I didn't.
Yes.
Sure.
And Mother had prayed, correct me, Mother, is from what I remember, Mother said she had prayed because Nick was very sick and so was Mary. And she said, I had 2 very sick children. The doctor just walked in and looked at him and left. He was seemingly scared of the germs or something. He had given him no advice. So she said she just prayed and she said, Lord, whichever child comes to you and becomes a Christian as an adult or from here on, please keep that one. The other one you take, or take them if you have to. If they're not going to become Christians, take them now. Mary died and you left, and that was the state. So that was a very, very difficult time. And then no sooner she was, I think, then you were on the way.
And funeral arrangements had to be made right in the home. I remember Grandpa Brown was there, let's see, what,
And then, no sooner she was, I think then you were on the way.
and funeral arrangements had to be made right in the home. I remember Grandpa Brown was there. Let's see, Woody and one of the aunts, Tante Lisa or Nita, and they made the funeral. They washed the baby and dressed it.
Yeah. And then they buried it.
And put it in the coffin and buried it on the farm on someplace. There was at that time no graveyard in Coleywood.
They buried it on Von Fleet's farm,
Oh yeah.
where the Jacob Schmitz were living.
East of Colville.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because we went to,
I know the
Mother
corner.
pointed out the area.
The
where
quarters?
she-
Somebody showed me the quarter years ago where approximately
Oh, yeah.
where they buried.
Yeah, later on, they were transferred over to Coldale Cemetery.
Yeah. All of them.
Well,
Yeah.
Muddy's mother was also buried
Yeah.
on the farm.
That's right.
That was
At same place.
at that same place.
But she was moved, but I wasn't sure if the other ones are moved.
Yeah. Well,
I don't think
know
so.
about that.
Okay.
Oh, I know Uncle Ben was moving or helping to move
Yeah, I heard that too.
his mother's
Yeah.
over.
Okay.
Okay, let's move back to where we were yesterday. Let's quickly move from Hollandsay in Saskatchewan.
Columbia.
Colonsay, sorry. And then pick it up where, with the land and everything, and then just try and talk about what it was like to homestead and break land and get an actual place of your own and how exciting that was. And
Of course, before the homestead, there was 2 years with the Friesens that we farmed together in the 8 Mile Lake District.
On Schmitz farm.
And how many acres were there? Was it a half section?
We each had half a section.
Okay, that's a section of land between the two of them in a partnership arrangement. And that was for 2 years. And as I remember, the crops were very good for those two. 28, 29, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 27.
And 27 and 28. And 29 we moved on to the homestead.
Yes.
But there was very good crops those 2 years. And the price of wheat was over $1 a bushel. And they did make some money at that time. And so
But the arrangement didn't seem to be,
the partnership did not work.
No.
I never learned the details of it. But,
Now, is that the place where Mother cleaned the hog barn for the family to move in? Mother cleaned the hog barn. I think it was on that farm where they moved in. She told me that she had to, when they moved from Colonsay, I'm not sure if it was from Colonsay, but when they moved to Colonsay on a rented farm, she had to clean the hog barn where that hadn't been empty of hogs for some time, and that's where the family lived the first winter. Am I right?
Whose family?
Mom and Dad, all you guys.
No,
No?
we never lived in a hog barn.
Well,
Never.
that's wrong.
she cleaned
No, no,
no,
never
I
happened.
never heard that either.
Okay, stroke that.
I know that they built a new house on the Smith farm. Frank Friesen was the carpenter. And they built a new house they kept the good house, we got a new one. And as far as I know, the partnership, everything went very well. And we've been friends ever since. Yeah.
And then Dad bought a 20-acre farm across the road from there and moved that barn onto our new place.
Yeah.
And how he did that, I don't know. But
Yeah, he cut that barn in half.
yes.
He sawed it right down the center, right over the roof. Cut it right in half where the door comes, that door, the posts were cut right in half. And they braced both ends. They loaded them on wagons, like you cut the box off and put a long pole in. And then somehow they jacked them up on these wheels. And with 4 or 6 horses, they moved one half at a time. All the way from 8 Mile Lake to it would have been what, 8, 10 miles?
8 or 9, yeah.
Yeah, they moved it down the road with horses and onto this homestead,
Yes.
and where there was only a granary yet, for the family to live in. And then they got the other half, they put them together, and they scabbed these doorposts and everything together, I could still remember seeing that, And then they shingled the roof, and there they had the barn, you see.
And that's the barn we built in and all that.
Yes, that's the barn, yeah.
Who laid out the farm site? Like, you know, my mom had this massive garden,
Yeah.
flower garden,
Well,
fruit garden and all that, you know. Where did, you know, the trees had to go
They
certain
must have done
places.
it together, I don't remember.
Man.
I know
But
Mother and I
like-
worked in the garden quite a bit, but
I don't know, there's too much thought put into where the house and the barn was, just as long as the house and barn was in the yard, you know, and that was.
Facing north and south.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And then she arranged those paths. One path had caraganas on it, and the other one had lilac, irises.
Yeah.
And that was our favorite triangle run, all the way around.
Bicycle and
Bicycle, everything.
You
It was
rode Fred
marvelous
around there once in a
entertainment.
while.
Pardon me?
You rode Fred around there once in a while. It wasn't allowed.
No, that was
No.
But one thing I should mention that they immediately planted a lot of trees. And Mother said for the first spring, whenever that was, she carried, once the kids were in bed, they had the dugout, the lake, but they didn't have the irrigation in the garden. She would carry 200 buckets of water every night to water those trees. She wanted those trees so badly. And it paid off. They're
Yeah.
gorgeous
When we
trees,
carried water.
What kind are they?
poplars.
Yeah, and as soon as the seed time was done, we went at it digging that cistern, 10 by 10. That was hard work and
Yes.
lay and plaster it out with cement, you know, with the fencing all around and cementing. And it held water, and after that, it was done and hardened and filled it up, and we had water.
And we continually were fixing it because the poplar trees were always making
Yeah.
cracks from the roots.
Oh, during the years, you had to fix
We
it.
were fixing it, but
Now, is it true that the soil there was virgin soil, that we were the first ones to break the soil?
Yes.
the
Yes,
soil?
yes,
yes, it was grass.
Absolutely.
Where the buffalo roamed?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
Did
right.
you find any Indian arrowheads?
Well, we never thought to look.
Oh.
I suppose there could have been.
Yeah.
On our land, in Vauxhall, we found one of these Indian using like for sledge or something.
Tomahawks.
Whatever,
Yeah.
yeah, we found one of those.
and the garden was very important. We had people coming for the conference, the Colio conference, and then we would have, we had some visitors, and in the morning he went out for a walk, and I was with him, I was just a little girl. But, Mother was around too, but I remember him asking us, she says, do weeds grow in your garden? I mean, and he asked that truthfully and rightfully because he couldn't see a weed, because we had hoe and swept. We always had everything swept. And the garden path was raked, and everything was always perfect. Even the strawberries didn't have any weeds.
What was to sweep?
The answer
There
to
was
that
no
question
concrete.
was-
What was to sweep? There was no concrete.
Oh,
Why?
the ground.
The ground?
No,
Sweep
but
the dirt.
No lawn around the
We
house.
swept the dirt just so it looked
That's-
nice.
That's what they did in Russia too.
Why?
That's tradition.
That's tradition.
Tiny.
Looks tiny.
Sort of like a Japanese
Yes.
garden or
And another
something.
thing, they would whitewash the trees, you know,
Yes.
from about 3 feet up.
Stones.
in front of the house.
And when you
was
came
all-
onto the yard, all the tree trunks were whitewashed.
Why?
In Russia, they did it that way.
They did that for insects. The
Aesthetics.
insects would.
No, John,
Oh,
it was
that's
strictly
awesome.
aesthetic, just for good looks. At that time, I don't think they realized they were doing it too.
But every
Must
Saturday
have been a
afternoon,
dual purpose.
went through the ritual.
Yeah.
Tina would do the brown shoes, I would do the black shoes. And then we would do everything else outside. The porch would get washed off with water from the ditch, and then we swept the yard as far as the cars would come out on Sunday afternoon to visit, right?
And you,
That was
and you
good.
ran the sort of the rake over the yard so it looked nice and smooth too.
Oh yeah, that was you guys. You guys rigged up a little
Drag with the
drag and
tractor.
did the yard nicely. And
He
Wow.
still does that.
And you know, Larry, Tina always did the brown shoes, and I would always go in Lethbridge with the boys to make sure they buy brown shoes instead of black shoes. Because my job was to polish the black shoes, and she always had way more, and she didn't know why.
And then if they caught it, of course, they wanted those shoes beautiful. You could never make them nice enough, could we, Ernie?
Yeah, but I think there's a little bit of white lie there.
Whatever suited you guys bought. Tina always had more shoes to polish than I
I
did.
know.
Okay, what about housing? What was housing like? Like when you guys moved onto this homestead, you had basically one granary to live in. How big was it? What was it like inside? How many rooms was it? And how did you progress from that point on?
Where'd the money come from for the house?
The granary.
The greenery had one room, was roughly at 12 by 14, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like
And
that.
there was bunk beds.
Yeah, and bunk beds, stove was in there, everything.
4 kids, 5 kids.
Well,
What?
See,
Five,
At that
because you
time-
had arrived.
Dad and my mom's bed was on one end. The stove was beside it. The table was right across from where the stove was, and the bunk beds were on the other side. And that was it. And I was asleep on the top bunk, and I could always hear the rain coming down on the,
I think there were 6 children.
yeah. And, you know, that used to put me to sleep, you know,
Yeah.
and I just loved it. The rain on the roof, you know.
To this day.
Yeah.
And that was this round one. That
Yeah.
wasn't this peak.
No, it wasn't round.
It was
That
sort of
was just
around.
a big round, like.
So what about, how did you get the electricity and the plumbing hooked up from the town and the water? You want to explain the situation?
Well, running water we had.
Really?
Yes, we had running water, because the kids would have to run with a bucket of water from the ditch into the house. Yeah.
No pump?
Not at that point.
Not
no.
that big.
No pump.
later.
It's hard for you to understand, Larry, but.
Have no idea. That's why we want to know.
And you got coal from the coal mines, didn't you?
Yeah, from the Chester mine,
Near Lethbridge.
near like,
Was it
there
Davis?
was also a different corner.
A lot of it was pit coal. We'd
Yeah.
take our gunny sacks with us
Yeah.
and haul it up from the bottom of the valley where they dumped it into.
Was it free then?
And we packed it up there.
So you could get it yourself
Free.
like that?
Free.
Free.
If you
Yeah.
picked it, but it wasn't good quality.
But you had to take
That
it
was
with-
the rock coal. There
through a
was-
lot of smoke and everything.
Well, we always had an axe with us to put the slag off. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.
I didn't know that.
Just what it was.
What about the electrical generator that you had hooked up? How did that work?
Say that, the
Did
silver.
we?
Well, what did you guys do for light?
Oh, we had
kerosene
lanterns.
Aladdin.
Kerosene
Aladdin.
lamp.
No, not right away, we didn't have a lamp.
Just
No,
kerosene
no.
lamp.
First, we were happy with the regular kerosene lamps, you know. You know,
In the barn,
In all
lanterns,
schools,
you know, that one you carry.
the regular barn lantern.
Sure.
It's called a fackle.
A fackle.
That's what we used to call it. You take the fackle and feed the pigs. Yeah.
I remember going to church with one of those faculty, we hung it on the left side of the wagon, because, you know, you
It's
take
dark.
another wagon, eh? The horses would generally go to the 2 tracks were shining in the dark, especially if your eye get used to it, go to church, and then they'd follow that trail, you know. But the next guy wouldn't see you, so we had a lantern hung on the church, and we were on time too.
So when was the house actually built, the one that burned?
That was that was built the following year.
Okay.
After we only lived in that granary until the year we moved on, that was 1929. We lived through the winter, and then the next spring we built the house. Yep.
So Ben would have been in the granary, but Dick was already initiated into the
I
big
was in the
house.
granary,
You were in the granary?
yeah, because I was born in February.
Yeah, you
Okay.
Yeah, I was the baby.
Yeah.
I was there.
So,
Yeah, I betcha.
You
Sure.
don't know anything.
so just explain what that winter in the granary was like. Like,
How did you keep the thing warm?
yeah.
It must have been cold. I can't remember that we
We
suffered
lived
too
through the
much.
winter in the granary.
No,
No, I think we moved.
oh, it's just the
into house.
summertime, wasn't it?
Just in
Yeah,
summer.
after the
Because they
seeding,
moved.
after the seeding was done.
Yep.
Then Frank Friesen came around and we built the house.
Okay.
Would the house have been done, like your housewarmings, like enough, like house raising with the community helped, or just the family built it?
The family, I don't remember
Yeah,
anything
no,
else,
there
except
was-
Mr. Friesen, Frank Friesen.
I don't know if there
Tony
were
said
any
Frank
neighbors
Friesen.
there.
Yeah, Frank Friesen.
You know,
he was-
Rogowski built the other house.
Yeah,
Yeah, the second one
Yeah.
was by Rogowski.
Yeah.
and then we had a fair bit of help with the second house.
Yep.
And a lot of neighbors came to
Yeah, I
help.
remember $500, which was so much the church gave us, I remember that.
That was the
I was the
insurance.
big boy then, these fellows were in the army already, and I was supposed to.
That was insurance,
Oh,
fire insurance. He had it insured for 500.
40, that was 44. That was the, that
That's
was
when it
burnt
burned down.
in the Good Friday of 1944. I remember because I,
Yeah.
You know,
Insured for $500.
$500.
But at the top of that, you know, people brought quilts and
Oh.
they brought food and they brought meat.
Oh, yes.
It just came on.
Even
I know
from
the first
States.
night,
from the States people
Did
brought
they?
us in different things,
Hmm.
like from the MCC.
Yeah.
Yes.
Some of us went to Nicola Thiessen's right away, that's the first night after the house burned down.
Uh-huh.
And I guess that's how all the neighbors were relatives and
And
those,
then-
helped as much as they could.
And then that summer, we were all bunked, the boys in one granary, the girls in one granary, and mom and dad in the garage. And isn't that the year they had their 25th?
Yeah, they had it in the garden.
In the
Yeah,
garden,
in
and
the
the
garden.
reception was in the garage.
Yeah.
That was the
lovely.
year?
Yeah.
We
Because
were just newly married.
because the pictures, the reception is in the garage, unless that house was too small, but maybe the house was too small, and mom had it in the garage, I'm not sure.
Because you and I lived in the garden with mom and dad.
We had the service in the garden though, you know.
You had the service-
I know,
Yes.
but weren't we in the new house at that point?
Yeah.
That
I think
could
so.
be, maybe it
I
was
think
just a,
so.
Yeah.
but
Oh, I
maybe it
think
was so
so
they
too.
could
Yeah.
grab a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
I'm
tables.
almost sure we were at the new.
See, they wouldn't have
Yeah.
been married
We were.
25 years at
No.
that point.
No, that's
Because
right.
we came home from Vauxhall and that was,
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah, I think we were at the new.
I thought that was
special occasion.
That house cost them about $1,800, and a third came from insurance, a third came from the church, and a third he paid. Something like that.
That's pretty close, I think,
You know,
the
something
church-
like that.
The third,
I thought there were 3/3, like he
Okay.
paid a third, the church paid a third, and the third from the insurance, so that would be
Yeah,
close to what you said.
yeah.
Can you explain what
the
that,
church did too, huh?
Yeah,
The
the
church
church
did.
paid a
I
third.
remember that.
can you explain what the new house was like in comparison to the old?
It was pretty much the same.
Yeah, what's this?
We
It
had,
wasn't too much different.
So it was like a single room?
no,
Oh, no.
It had-
oh, this was modern.
Four
Upstairs.
bedrooms.
Upstairs.
4 small bedrooms,
And living room and the kitchen.
and that's it.
But the kitchen was enlarged later on. There was a lean-to built
Shed,
Yeah.
onto the house, and that's where the kitchen was, which gave us more room than in the living room.
But only for summer, yeah? For winter, the
Yeah,
stove went back
yeah,
into the...
yeah. Oh, yeah, that's
It was
right.
moved back, yeah.
And then we would, Saturday night, this was a big night, you took a bath once a week. And then
Every
your
week.
mother would put this round tub into this, usually in the shed. In wintertime, we'd carry it into the, one
To
of
the living room beside the big heater.
Yeah, pretty much.
But also there's a back room behind the pantry.
Yeah,
But
that
you
was,
had to clean it all out. It was sort of storage, but maybe...
that was
You were home
real.
from the army, I remember.
Yeah,
Because we all...
and
We
it was
couldn't
still
watch
that
him in the
way.
living room, so we had to go in the bath. Anyway, the first, we would fill up with water, buckets of water from the, and then mother would heat water on the stove and make it nice and warm. And you know who got in first? We started from Ernie. Ernie got
Clean one,
first,
every
and that's
time.
why the guy's still black hair. That's
David.
great.
From the bottom up, yeah.
Bottom up.
And then we got take turns. all
Everybody
the
got a
way
kettle of
down.
hot water.
You never change water. You just keep
Oh, you put
adding
a
more
little-
water.
Add a little more warm water.
Yeah, but, go ahead.
Think how lucky the older guys were, they had a tub full, we only had this
That's right.
much. Yeah.
But Larry, you could always tell who was dating, or who wasn't very good friends with somebody. They always went ahead and carried all the dirty water out. If they were halfway through, heated up new water, washed that. The car was washed in the middle of the yard, locked, so nobody could touch it. They had fresh water, and then they went and took a bath, and somebody else could carry on. I distinctly remember that.
And that was Frank. Oh, they too. Frank was dating, well,
Margaret.
than that.
two of them, I guess.
Well, one after the other.
Remember.
About the water system, we had a pump on the cistern, and we pumped it. But after we got to the new house, then some of us got together, and I don't know who was with us, but we put the pump in the house.
That back room.
Yeah, and we, just a little... and-
Yeah, with the green pump.
Man.
Yeah.
I still have it.
We have a
The
with
green
it
pump.
at that
You
time.
have it, Jim?
Right.
Absolutely.
What a luxury, eh?
We were so proud of that.
Oh, yeah.
And the plumbing and electricity, did that come in the new house when mom and dad moved to Cornwall?
1951. No, that was in our
51?
farmhouse in 1951.
Just the electricity, not the
Not the
plumbing.
plumbing.
Just electricity.
That little outhouse stayed out there in the cold. And you know what we did when it was below, 20 below, so cold? At Eaton's catalog, don't worry about 2-ply or 1-ply. And if it's very cold, you take a match along, you light a few pages of Eaton's catalog and put it down. Hope that nature cooperated quickly.
To heat up the,
The air of it, yeah.
barn.
Well, that's why the catalog was there. I don't realize.
You
You
didn't
did,
know.
I thought it was to look at the pictures.
Some pages were out and the colored ones went down on the bottom.
I heard there was a hockey stick in winter or a stick in the outhouse in
Leaning
wintertime.
against the door, yeah.
What for?
You tell me.
May I go back to the fire of the house for a minute, Larry?
Yeah, explain that.
I think the rest will like this, because I was the one that discovered the fire when I came back to carry the rifle back into that little room. You were all at our place that time for, Nick, you were there, as I remember.
We'd just come home.
Yeah, you had just come home, and Nick was trying to, when I saw the fire, I came up to the stairs, and the stairs were from the outside. I smelled something, and I ran up to the room and just pulled the door open a little bit, and the fire was really raging. So I ran down the steps and hollered fire, and by that time, everything was in motion almost immediately, because the house is full of people downstairs.
But tell them why the fire went so fast.
Well, I can't remember that.
The west window was open.
Yes.
And had that little door, and the wind just went through like a blowtorch.
Yeah.
But wasn't it insulation, shavings for insulation?
Yeah, but I remember Mom and I went up there, I went up there, you went up there, you said, and then you noticed it, because Mom was so in a frenzy right away, she ran in front of me, because I was the oldest guy, you know, I supposed to know everything, and then she ran up there, and the smoke hit us, so I was mutty, and I had to be firm with her, down, you're gonna get killed, you can't do nothing, down, and we shut the door, because like Dick said, the airflow was so strong, and then there was so many people, like I say, we cleaned out the house completely.
But I remember, Ben, Uncle Nick took 2 buckets yet, and he went up there, and he opened the door and tried to, well, and he realized it was...
Well, who was it?
Too strong wind from the west.
Yeah.
Who was it that went up this with a ladder from the outside?
I did.
I think
From
it was
the other
you.
side,
From the
west
outside,
side.
through the
Yeah.
window, and he had the water from underneath the thing that was from the wash basin. And you walked up there and threw this in the window, and then you realized it was all over.
It was,
There no chance.
it was just flames going
Yeah.
through like that.
And the house was totally cleaned out. The main floor was cleaned out to the place where they even took the windows out of, some of the windows were taken out, the door frames were taken out. And the downstairs, you couldn't touch it because the fire was coming through the walls, and there was smoke filled downstairs, they couldn't get in there.
But Mom said, we should have thought about it earlier, we would have got it.
Yeah.
But they had just butchered, and everything was ready down there.
In the cellar.
Mm-hmm.
In the cellar.
And a whole trailer full of coal was just put in
I
there.
just remember I shoveled that in there
Yeah.
before, and that for days at work, because, you know,
Not going there.
that's good coal, that's not...
Yeah.
But one thing that you might interest, you can take this, because our sister Ann was home on vacation.
Yeah, refer to that, okay, good.
Oh, okay, well then go ahead.
No, Annie was just home from TV, and can you imagine, a strong man and Annie took this washer, the stove, that nowadays you think the 2 of us, we'd take 4 of us. She grabbed that and they walked out. You can't, and she never got hurt. You figure that out. In a time like that, and she was, just from the, no,
Sanatorium.
sanatorium, she was home,
That's it.
and a strong man and her got out, we all said, why? But she never got hurt.
I know one
That was
thing,
your-
the first thing
Yeah,
when
no, it's something else.
Okay.
when I heard that there was fire, I ran into our room, we got the 22 and the shells, and I went outside. That's the first thing I rescued.
Did we have 2 22s?
22. Huh?
Did we have 2 22s?
No.
Well,
We had the one upstairs.
Yeah, that's the guy that was...
I rescued,
Those were made with this clothesline things. They made them, put a match on them and shot that. That shot under the bed, and that's how the fire started.
Yeah.
I know for sure, I rescued the shells we had in our room, and
Sure.
but I know the shells were there,
Yeah.
unless you take the 22 upstairs, and I
Oh.
got that wrong. But that was so precious to me, because we always shot the skunks, the rats along the irrigation ditch.
Yeah, that's good.
And then remember when the fire was dying down, there was nothing you could do anymore. Then Ann called all the kids into the garden. And we sang, "This world is not my home, I'm just a passing through."
Is that?
I'll never forget it. Mother wasn't very happy about that. I don't know why. Do you know, Elizabeth?
Ernie, I thought that we were standing around the old organ, singing that song when they screamed fire.
Oh.
Mhm.
I didn't know that.
I remember
And
that.
then, this world is not my home, I'm just a passing through, and then they screamed fire.
Oh.
And then that was, so later on we thought, what a coincidence, we're singing this song and then your house goes. One thing that you might want to put on is, and Nick, Mother felt so terrible that your wedding gifts were upstairs.
I remember that.
Yeah.
And they were lost in that
Pictures,
fire. And we felt so bad that you lost your wedding gifts.
Well, I appreciate the
Yeah.
sympathy and everything. Yeah, our wedding gifts were upstairs. That's what Mother says, but I can't remember.
Yeah, you had a lot up there, because I still remember that was special area that
Yeah.
your stuff was packed in.
Yeah, because he was in the army, in the CO camp.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we just came home then for, this was on a Good Friday. but-
Yeah, Good Friday, go back, I'll never forget.
Yeah.
And Tina and I carried out the pink, or the light green flower box that was in the kitchen. It was almost full of flowers, we were just little kids. Just carried that thing in the yard like nothing. Amazing what you
That
can do
went
with
so
it.
fast,
Yeah,
everything.
everything was just out in the middle of the yard,
The table was clean and
Yeah.
everything was gone out.
which was good.
Then everybody, when this is exactly what we're talking about, we were supposed to go in the garden, because there was a chimney right from the bottom, right from the cellar, not basement, cellar, right
Cellar,
to the top. Because anybody get hurt, to sit way back and watch that thing fall.
Yeah.
We should, Tina will tell you about the sports. What did we do for sports? We have some stuff down here.
I'll just finish a little more.
Okay, go
The
ahead.
next day, you should have seen the people come and help clean out the old root cellar. Do you remember that? People came and helped that huge, big, long root cellar that we had close to the bullhawk behind the barn, and helped clean out that, and people kept bringing things. There was so much food in there. People brought all kinds of things, and it was clean, and the door was cleaned up and locked, or, something was closed so they couldn't get anything in there. And it was just amazing. If I had to come and go and get something as a boy, I always knew that bring that and that somebody else brought, and Mom would send me down to get that. It was just amazing how much, how many groceries and how much food is brought of every description. It was just wonderful.
I want to inject something in, but what I wanted to inject before, do really what you're saying though. Dad's concern always was a good relationship with neighbors and with everybody, business and stuff. He'd never pull a prank or have anybody else's money stick on his.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, everybody used Dad's machinery, and they brought it back, sometimes not in their shape, and then Dad would have to fix it. But he still would borrow them, but he fixed so many things that others had.
Dad and I got arguments sometimes. Why do you have to fix it? Then we borrowed once another machine, and that man sent, I was supposed to use the machine, that man sent his boy with a grease gun to grease it because he didn't trust us to grease it. Whatever.
But Dad was known to be very good-hearted. And I remember when people would come and want to, collect money for missions, and two men came on the yard, and they had Dad out alone, and Mother was inside. She was pretty unhappy because she knew they were talking him into giving more than he was financially able to give.
Oh, yeah.
But
That I believe.
yeah, but to see, they would take him outside, and he was too kind-hearted to say no. And his good heart sort of got the better of him sometimes. Yeah. But I think the Lord blessed that too.